Hello, and welcome back. I've got a new video here for you today. It's not going to be a breakdown, but it is going to be on PvP. We are looking into comps. Now, see, this is a really important subject for people, especially getting into PvP, and people who are just at the beginnings of PvP to start and really understand. Now, if I asked most of you, oh, what's comp? Like, what is a comp? You'd be able to tell me a few comps like TSG, Turbo, RMP, a couple of things that people play, and you see a lot of pro players playing. But if I asked you why and what makes this comp good and what makes other comps bad, you might not necessarily be able to go into a lot of detail with it. And I think that's something that's really crucial to understanding and progressing in arenas, because it allows you to go, okay, I'm going up against this comp, I need to know how to play it. So say if it's RMP versus TSG, how are we going to play it? What's the weakness? How do I have to adapt my play to beat them and not have them beat us? Now, there's three ways that we're going to look at it in terms of what makes a comp good, and what makes it in general is we're looking at DRs, so diminishing returns on CC. We're looking at the damage, what type of damage it does, and we're looking at mobility as another big thing. Now, to start with diminishing returns, what you can't have, a good comp will have a varying amount of CC in different diminishing returns. Now, see here, there's a list which I'm going to link in the description of all of your CC that DRs with each other. So you have roots, stuns, incapacitates, disorients, silences, and knockbacks. Now, all of these DR off each other in the certain areas, and it gives you the duration of it. Now, each DR lasts for 18 seconds. So once you do your first stun, you have 18 seconds until you can stun again for the full duration. And if you and each time it gets DR'd further. I think it's up to about 3 or 4 times until it's almost nothing. So that's why in most of the scenarios, if you're going to go, oh, I have my Hodge left, but it's going to be third DI, you hold it, you don't use it unless you need that 1 second to kill. Now, see here, what you want in your comps and what you see in most of the really good comps out there, for example, WMP or WMD, you have a huge range of CC that's in different DRs to the point where you almost can start a CC chain, and by the time the CC chain is over, the full of it, the DRs are almost already off, so you can continue getting them into a CC chain as the DRs fall off, making CC chains longer than 18 seconds with like small gaps in between it. Now, if you're looking at the comp, you need to look in here, okay, where am I going to have a whole load of stuff that's just in the same one? Am I going to just be full of stuns and we can't really do anything out of it? Or can we spec slightly different so that we get a range of CC in it? So if you look at an example of this is Shadow Play, which is like an Affliction Lock and a Shadow Priest and then a healer. What we'll be looking at there is, okay, if the priest plays fear and the warlock is also fearing, there's just going to be a lot of fear DRs, and especially if you have a druid, you're going to have cyclone DRs as well. So what makes this this comp suddenly better is if the priest plays mind bomb instead, because then the fear turns into a stun, and you've got an entirely different DR, and you're working into the system really nicely. This is also why we had issues when we talked back about WM Chi, which is Warrior Mage Mistweaver, is the sap DR. Because a lot of Mistweavers like to sap into leg sweep, but if you're using that sap, you're DRing off of Dragon's Breath, which causes an issue for the mage when he's applying his CC. So this is an important thing to notice, because you might be playing a comp that you think is good because, oh, both of these classes do a lot of damage, so therefore we should be able to do a lot of damage and win, and oh, we have a healer, he's good at healing, let's go ahead and do this, but everyone has stuns, and you can't get any CC, and everything just gets healed through, and then eventually you die because you get caught in a CC chain. It's like that's why like your comp doesn't necessarily work, and that's why like certain healers are better and certain healers are worse in areas. So go in, have a look at all of these CCs, the classes that you're looking to try and marry together. See if your comp's going to work, because like for sometimes you can play a comp that a lot of people don't play, and it can work. New comps come out over time, and you can see if your comp's going to be terrible or not that great. So you can really start to understand the CC and which is a huge core to succeeding in PvP. Now, second aspect of that we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at damage. What type of damage is your team doing, and how are you going to kill? So you have teams that have setups based around CC and doing burst damage, and you have teams that are based around spread damage and CC, and then you have teams that are just like, say, you're all-out damage teams with very little CC, like Turbo, but you can still get a significant amount of CC out of Turbo if you really wanted to. It's just harder to get. So we're going to look at these main two, burst and spread pressure. So an example of burst is your Turbos is Warrior Mage Pally done with an Arcane Mage and a Fury Warrior. All those are around burst cooldowns and then getting a CC and burst cooldowns. Really important to do that. And if you're playing with, say, if you tried to play an Arcane Mage with an Arms Warrior, it wouldn't work as well because the burst isn't as on point as the Arcane Mage's is. Because as a Fury Warrior comes in, he does all of his cooldowns, he gets a lot of damage out really quick, as well as the Arcane Mage, so you blow people up before they can really get that healing done. Whereas the Arms Warrior has a lot of consistent damage, he gets sharpened blades up, he's doing a lot of damage that way. So this is why this comp doesn't necessarily work that well together. It's the same with Frost and Arms. It can work at times, but it's not going to work as well as another option of it. And then if you look on the other side, you have the more consistent damage where if you swap the Fire Mage and have the Arms Warrior, the consistent damage is there, and you have the long CC chains where eventually people fall over. And then if you put a Fury Warrior with the Fire Mage, the Fire Mage isn't going to have as much single target burst as the Fury Warrior, and you can have issues where the Warrior gets him really low but doesn't have quite enough damage to kill with the Fire Mage, but then the Fire Mage tries to continue on the damage, but because the Fury Warrior is out of all of his cooldowns, the healer starts to pick him up and he goes back up, and then you're a bit screwed. And then you've got to go back to your CC chains, and then there will be times where you'll kill people, but it's not going to be the best. Another example of a spread team is Feral Shadow Priest, Feral Lock. The spread pressure from the Feral Bleeds, and also the dots from Affliction Locks and Shadow Priests are a really good example of a rot team. Now, so that's pretty much like your 2-1s. You don't want to be trying to go. The main core of that whole point is you don't want one that's single target, massive burst on cooldowns, and one who is generally really good sustained damage. That's not what you need. And when we're looking finally at, say, we'll call this one positioning and mobility. So this is mainly applied to healers when you're looking at how the team is going to play and how you're going to be moving around the map. Are you going to be setting up like a Warlock with a gate and you're going to be moving in between these 2 points? Or are you going to be chasing a team around a map and with needing high mobility, being able to stay with your team and create pressure that way? So if you're looking at the healers in terms of that, like you have your shamans and your priests who are going to be more using pillars, going out, still with some mobility, but not the best. Then you have your monks, your druids, and your H-pals that can move around the map very easily and are really good for healing cleaves. So you want to pick your healer, and or like if you're a healer, you want to pick your comp to cater well to the style of play that you're going to be playing. Because if you're having to chase, it's not going to be fun for you because you're not going to be able to be healing and doing what you want to do. If your DPS is trying to chase and you're telling them to come back, they're not going to be able to secure kills and they're going to get frustrated. So you need to bear in mind that these things will happen when you're choosing the healer and the comp that you want to play. So altogether, if you think about those three things and you go, okay, check, DRs, our CC can be great. We can get a good CC chain. Our damage is either burst or consistent. We know what we're going to be doing with our damage. We know what type of targets we want to be going for. Great. Does our healer work with it? Yes, our healer works. It's going to be able to follow us around, or it's going to be able to heal us through certain damage. Excellent. Does our then you can kind of look at counter comps and go like, okay, what screws our CC? Like, say for example, if you need to get a stun before other CC can happen, say against a druid or something like that, Ret Paladin teams are going to counter you. You need to be aware of that. So you're like, okay, we need to make sure that the Ret Paladin is going to be in CC when we try and stun the druid, so he can't sanctify him out. Yeah, that's like the ways you can think about it, and it's really crucial to think about comps this way and kind of how the game is supposed to go to get a wider understanding of how the threes arena works and what you're supposed to be doing and the goals, and then eventually like making you win. Because you can be as good as you want about hitting a target dummy and being, oh yeah, I do a lot of damage, but when it comes to other parts of playing the game and what makes the team, there's a lot more to be looked into than just doing your damage, getting your artifact power and things like that. And when you get into it, you're going to be a way better player. Now, looking on to Rbgs, it's a very similar aspect about it. Not necessarily too much about your healers and things like that. That doesn't matter that much in terms of mobility, but you need to be looking at the damage that you have in your team. Are you going for like a rock comp? Are you going for a direct damage comp? Are you gonna try and blow up a healer really quick and then blow up another healer, then blow up another healer? Is that your go, or are you going to try and rot down a whole team? Or are you going to maybe split up your team into small pockets? So you're like, okay, I'm going to play, I'm making a Arathi Basin sort of comp where I'm going to be able to pinch off groups to go certain places. So I want a Mistweaver to go with a Feral and a Rogue to go and attack something so he can get out really quickly, or I want an Ardrid to do that instead because they can all go stealth and go places like that. It's like, you don't just invite anyone to your group and go, oh, let's hope it works. That's how you lose most of the time, because you haven't thought about all the individual puzzle pieces that come together to make the wider like puzzle that you have. Like, if you're trying to just mash all different puzzles together, you're not gonna get anything out of it. Like, sure, maybe like, oh, it kind of matches up in the corner, and oh, we had a bit where we did okay, we killed one guy there, and like sometimes you'll win because you'll just go up against a worse people who haven't thought about it as good, or maybe you just win out of pure damage because like nobody's kicking in this game. We're playing at like 1200 MMR or something like that. Nobody's kicking, nobody's CCing. Oh, somebody on your team's doing a lot of damage, or somebody on the other team's doing a lot of damage. That's why you lose. You need to broaden your thought and think about, okay, what makes this team good? Why am I using these various things? Is the healing output really good from these? Does the CC work really well? And if you're ever sitting there in a match and you're thinking, wow, I got CC'd so much that game as a healer, I barely got to play. It's probably because they've got a good comp that's going to be able to just land CC on you one after another instead of just diminishing returns everything. And maybe they have some good coordination in their group to know that, okay, this is he stuns first, then I stun first, then he goes for the fear, then this guy gets a cyclone, and then out of the cyclones we get the polymorphs. Maybe they're really like well organized. Maybe they're just really, really lucky. But you can only put yourself in a better position by thinking about this comp and how it's going to be. And then you move on later thinking about maps and things like that. But that's going to be in an entirely different video. I'm going to link to these two, or the diminishing returns. And then this comp list isn't that important. There's a couple of comps. Some of them won't work. This is not updated at all. But it's very difficult to find a complete comp list because it's constantly changing, and then most people kind of know what comps are by looking at tournaments and things like that. But think about your own comps, play some fun stuff that you think might work. There's things like that I've wanted to try for the longest time that it's like, oh, maybe I can play it, but I mean, sometimes you just got to test, okay, who are the friends I have to play with? Is our comp good? Do we have alts that it's going to make it a bit better? It's going to be easier. That's always a way to do it. And also with setting up guild threes teams and things like that, you can do that as well. Well, I hope that this has been interesting. It had to be a quick video for me to make today. I'm not going to be able to edit it that much to take out some pointless crap that I have in here. And I appreciate it very much if you could give me, if you can like it if you did. Give me a sub to my channel, and make sure to come in and tune in on Twitch. I'll see you guys next time. Hello there, and thanks for watching my video. Make sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and like if you liked it, dislike if you don't. Please comment to let me know what you want to see in the future, and make sure to come tune in and watch me on Twitch. I'm live from 12 a.m. or 12 midnight GMT for normally about 6 hours, playing a whole bunch of games. Hopefully I'll see you there.